We also see proposals for different ways of measuring the health of our economy. Greens have long proposed the genuine progress indicator, and there are people who are working on measures of happiness and wellness and that are more informative than simply focusing on GDP. In the late 1960s, Robert Kennedy spoke about the limitations of our economic measures when he said, gross national product counts air pollution and cigarette advertising and ambulances to clear our highways of carnage. It counts special locks for our doors and the jails for people who break them. It counts the destruction of the redwood and the loss of our natural wonder in chaotic sprawl. Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except what really makes life worthwhile. At the moment, our provincial and federal governments are an impediment to the change that needs to be made, as is our economic model. In a recent issue of the London Review of Books, there was a review of a book called Ill Fares the Land by Tony Judd. He's quoted as saying, "I think that what we need is a return to a belief not in liberty, because that is easily converted into something else, but in equality. Equality of access to information, equality of access to knowledge, equality of access to education, equality of access to power and to politics." It's another way of talking about injustice. We need to rediscover a language of dissent. It can't be an economic language, since part of the problem is that we have for too long spoken about politics in an economic language where everything has been about growth, efficiency, productivity, and wealth, and not enough has been about collective ideals around which we can gather. I was lucky, like Stuart, to come of age during the great movements of the 60s. Feminism, civil rights, environment, peace and social justice, and shortly thereafter the gay pride movement. Those movements were about the collective ideals around which we could gather. We had such hope for transformative change, change that would propel women to a place of equality and that would create a society based on inclusion. We even had politicians that talked the language of change, Pierre Trudeau in his Just Society and Bobby Kennedy with his message of hope. And in the 40 years since, we've not realized that change. But I can't imagine a more interesting time to be alive. I feel like I'm part of a movement that will realize the transformative change that was the promise of my young adulthood. We are at a place where we must confront the consequences of having lived beyond our means for the last 200 years. That wasn't a problem when our world's population was insignificant and we didn't have the technology to turn iron into gold. But now each day we're profoundly compromising the ecological, social, and economic limits of this planet. We have choices to make that will affect the lives of my grandchildren, and every additional debt we incur will be paid for by our grandchildren and their grandchildren. It's a time of tremendous responsibility, but I believe that I will witness in my lifetime a transformation in what we think is important and what we're prepared to do to recreate our economy based on that value. That's why I'm a Green. It's a place for me, it's a movement, an intention, a promise that gives me hope. And we can make a difference, and we can get people elected in 2013. And we can make a difference in the time leading up till then. Because the Green Party offers those collective ideals around which we can gather. And I invite you to help us do this important work, either locally or working in groups or participating in provincial council, and to the extent that you're able financially. Thank you very much.